It's Veterans Day tomorrow, and this project, Nate's story, is part of a 10-part documentary series on Muslims who have served in the military all across the country. Just in Chicago on Thursday, the project launched in commemoration of Veterans Day, and on Friday there was a second screening. We had 300 veteran, Muslim, and interfaith audience members coming together for conversation around shared values. It was a true coming together. And one of the key themes of all these conversations where veterans and Muslims and interfaith audiences were talking, we were asking the question, what have Muslims been experiencing in the military since 9/11? And most importantly, how have they dealt with this contradiction of defending a nation that does not always defend them? And we know from our history, though, that this is not something new. African Americans, Japanese Americans, minorities of all different backgrounds have served our country, taken an oath to defend and uphold the Constitution, and then when they return home, the civilian world doesn't uphold our end of the bargain. We don't treat them with the dignity and respect that they deserve, that they earned, that all people deserve. But it's glaring when it's a veteran who comes home who did put their life on the line in many respects. African Americans during World War II came home to Jim Crow and segregation when they were fighting fascism abroad. Japanese Americans had their parents and their family in concentration camps and were asked to serve our country. So fast forward to today, what have Muslims who've been serving in a post-9/11 world with surveillance and rising Islamophobia and hatred, how have they dealt with this feeling that's inside of them? And so that's what many of the films get to. It's not talking about policy, they're not promoting militarism, they're not anti-war, they're simply personal stories that get at this issue. Now, it's called loyalty stories. And for many of us, the word loyalty engenders complicated feelings inside. Ooh, are you loyal? Or are you disloyal? It's a way to divide us between the loyal and the disloyal. And that is a false choice, false binary. And this film is actually not trying to reinforce that. But it uses the word loyalty as a launching point into an important conversation where we unpack that word. And we say we are all so much more complex than that. That we are loyal to so many more important things. Being loyal to country is great. I do not want to take anything away from that. People who are loyal to country, I respect it immensely. But yet if I am loyal to justice and voting rights and religious freedom, and in Nate's case, he's loyal to his mother, and he's loyal to the Constitution, and he sees the Muslim ban as something too offensive, and he cannot sit by without speaking out against it. So he's loyal to those things. He's loyal to his buddies who are in his really diverse unit. So in these conversations, we unpack that. So I want to be really clear. This great project that took 3 years of my life to create is entitled Loyalty Stories, but do not see it as a setting up this loyal versus disloyal, this good Muslim versus bad Muslim, because I truly believe that all of us, regardless of our occupations, as long as we are pointing towards justice and equality and fairness, then we all deserve respect. Like Sarah, I come from Jewish heritage. How many of you guys saw the film An American Mosque, my last film? Come on, more than a few. Okay, oh wow, okay, yeah, lots of I'll tell my parents that applause was like, it was roaring through the audience. It's about a mosque that was burned down in Yuba City in 1994. It was one of the first hate crimes to demolish a mosque as we know it. And so many people ask me, as I stand up here as Nate's doppelganger, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white man, why are you doing this work? Well, I have Jewish background as well. The synagogue that I briefly attended as a boy was firebombed in 1999 in Sacramento. Many of you may remember that. The 3 synagogues in one evening were firebombed. There's no doubt it was white supremacy, it was hatred. 5 years prior to that is when the mosque was burned down in Yuba City. there was not as much attention to that fire at that time. And part of my reason for doing that project was to say, if people are going to feel my pain, I want to feel your pain, and I can use filmmaking as a way to bring light to that story. And likewise, and for that same reason now, thank you. And so now, what's on the future? I'm a filmmaker. We always pitch things. I'm right now in the beginning stages of the first feature documentary about Muslims who are in the military, focusing on 3 people, 3 Muslim chaplains who are in the military, imams in the military, who are fighting for religious freedom in the military, fighting for respect for Islam, and fighting for interfaith cooperation. So I have the access through the Department of Defense, and I want you all to stay tuned for what is going to be a really wonderful film, and please talk to me afterwards if you want to know more about it. Thank you, and Assalamu alaikum.